It is unbelievable what's happening right now. It is unbelievable, better than anything I could have ever even imagined. The left, or whatever this iteration of this insanity is called, is absolutely careening out of control. It's in free fall. It's the most incredible story of disaster whose time has come, and I couldn't be happier. You are seeing them freak out beyond anything any of us could have ever imagined, because I truly believe there is a benevolent and a vengeful and a good God who has figured that you and I have suffered enough. We've been through enough of this. I want to just remind you of what we've been through. What we've been through. 9 years ago, in 2015, 9 years, Trump announced. 9 years. Okay? Look what we've been through. Look at the sheer hell we've been through. Well, you know what? We're going to return the favor. And if they ever need any grief counseling on how to handle it, I'm sure you'll be able to help them. I'm not. And let me also tell you something. While there's a part of me, a fractionalized atomic level, this kind of a corner piece of maybe empathy and pity, it is completely outweighed by a desire to destroy everything and anything involving this godforsaken group of horrible monsters, these vile, satanic, demonic, anti-American monsters, all of them. We're going to be going through this today. I've got a lot to tell you. And if you want to feel good about stuff, you've come to the right place. You have come to the right place, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome to this world. Welcome to what we are, this thing called Lionel Nation. It's your nation. It's all of us. It's both of us. It's this thing we have remained steadfast. We have taken so much, and we are this close to victory. It's the most beautiful thing. 127 days until the election. And no matter what happens, it's great for us. And there are people like Meager Brzezinski, Meager Zika, the Zika virus, going in there and saying, come on, Joe. Did you hear what she said? This is what I read. I don't watch that crap. I'd rather stick my face in a fan than watch that horrible show. But she said, Joe needs better advisors. Can you believe this? Better advisors? Better neurologists. Remember what that week was? To titrate the meds. Remember what this was, to work on the meds. Mezzo. And we're finding out things about how Dana Bash may have given him a little hint. He died. He completely cratered. Now let's talk about a couple of things in no particular order. I'm just going to go through my list. We're going to be talking about today's immunity case. What does this mean? We're going to be talking about Steve Bannon, the Vogue cover. Oh my God, how people are still dissecting the debate. Jack Smith, who is being eviscerated. But first, let me say this right off the bat. Let me just say this. I love Steve Bannon. Love him. Why? Because you've just made him a martyr. You've just made him. When he is going to come back, whatever success he had, whatever popularity his show enjoyed, it's going to be, put it this way, more people are going to be saying, can I do something here? Didn't hurt Owen Schroyer. Alex Jones isn't dead either by any stretch of the imagination. I don't want to let anything out of any of the cat out of the bag, but if you think that's the end of him, you're out of your mind. I mean, out of your mind. No way. No way. But Let's talk first of all about the immunity deal. What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. It's like no kidding. It's no kidding. Presidents of the United States must have immunity from civil, that's the Fitzgerald case, the Paula Jones case, which dealt with presidents being subpoenaed and served with depositions during the course of their presidency while they, for behavior that preceded them. But this one basically says this: if during the course of the president's presidency he does things which fall within the realm of that which the president involves himself in, which is, wait for it, everything, he is entitled to immunity. Now, let's think about this. If the president of the United States were to walk out and pull out a gun and shoot somebody, I don't believe that would be covered under the immunity statute. What do you say? What do you say? I think that would probably exceed any type of scope of presidential duties. I believe so. I think that would exceed it. But we're not talking about that. And by the way, in that case, the president would have to be impeached first, removed, and then prosecuted. You understand why this is. The president of the United States, when the drafters of the Constitution, go back to the Federalist Papers, go back to what their mindset was. This is not a replication of the king. You've got these Weiss and Weissman. And who are these people they get? These folks who were supposedly so learned and so smart, like Hunter's lawyer. Remember that Abby Lowell? That was the worst case. This guy was supposed to be just, white shoes. He's not a trial lawyer. What was that case about? But I digress. I digress because it's my nature. And we don't care about Hunter Biden anymore. The drafters of our Constitution realized that all they would have to do to subvert, to short circuit the political process is just to prosecute a president. Charge him with something. Simple. When they met that hot and horrid period of time, that summer, and was the summer, I believe, anyway, in Philly, where they had to close the windows, and oh my God, in any event, when they were discussing and talking, the first thing they realized is, first and foremost, and by the way, this had to be articulated, it wasn't in the Constitution. Don't you love this? All of a sudden, the people who were the strict constructionists, the ones who laughed at Nino Scalia, they said, well, it's not in the Constitution. So now you're an originalist now? Okay, not strict constructionist. I spoke in error. No. Originalist, textualist. Is it in the Constitution? What was in their mind at the time? Now, all of a sudden, it's not in the Constitution. Let me stop right there. They actually said that. The people who make up this ridiculous notion of privacy and the penumbra, this ridiculous notion of substantive due process to somehow validate this notion of some type of abortion rights, they actually believed in that William O. Douglas nonsense from Griswold that said that there was a penumbra of rights that emanate from. What does this mean? They said that was okay. Alito and Scalia and everybody else said, but that's not in the Constitution. Well, it doesn't matter. There's a penumbra. There's no right for an abortion. No. It's part of privacy. This court construction, this construed right, this doctrine pulled from the penumbra. Would you shut up with the penumbra? What are you talking about? We're making it up. This was the case in 1965 that reversed the prohibition against contraception in Connecticut. And so what they did was, because there was nothing in the Constitution, they made up this thing called privacy. They made it up. It didn't exist. And people went crazy over that. Liberal justices said, well, what are you going to do? Makes sense to me. I mean, after all, and they took it from contraception, moved it into Roe, and then basically Casey overruled Roe, and they came up with this nonsense. There is no constitutional right to an abortion. None. None. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. Life, liberty, and property cannot be deprived without due process. That's it. It's a procedural right. It's a procedural right. They said you can take people's life. They never talk about the life of the fetus. That's another story. But now, listen carefully. Those same people who said, you are so crazy with your originalist, textualist nonsense. Now they say, well, there's something in the Constitution about immunity. Wait a minute. Bill Clinton, you were arguing it for Bill Clinton. Yeah, but that was Bill Clinton. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that you only base your constitutional arguments based upon who's the president? Precisely. Oh, so because this helps Trump, then you're against it. Exactly. But if this were Biden, you change your mind. Exactly. These people have no idea what they're talking about. But immunity, you can't have and believe me, Joe Biden's going to wish to God, thank God he's got this. Because what he and that horrible, filthy, rotten organization, that God, from the prosecutors to the DOJ to Merrick Garland to Mayorkas to what they've done, oh dear God. So good news is Trump ain't going to go to trial on that for a long time. They're going to send it back to the D.C. court, and they're going to finders of fact, and they're going to go through and determine, okay, let's see whether this particular act exceeded it. Forget it. It's a victory. And they're going crazy. Because there's two things these bastards want. They want to derail the Trump election, derail his campaigning, and they want to destroy him however they can. That's why, Mr. President, you have got to show absolutely no mercy to any of these people. They only understand viciousness. That's the only thing they understand. They won't respect you. They won't respect you unless you put a boot to their neck and grind them into pumice. I know this sounds tough, and I know people don't like to talk about that. Tough. This is a brutal existence. Now, let's talk about this other beautiful piece of work. What do you think about this one? The latest one with Jill Biden in her Vogue outfit. Did you see that one? Come on, ladies. What do you think about that? Did you like Jill in her Vogue outfit? Did you like that? Were you impressed? What did you think about that? Huh? What was that all about? They had to have had that arranged well in advance because she thought that he would do great. They timed this. They knew about the debates. They knew what was happening. These people are so delusional, so out of their minds. They don't understand that he's a dead man walking, that it's over. Let me say this again. Let me see if I can explain this again. They don't understand. This is the second time she's been on Vogue. How many times did Melania Trump appear on Vogue? Nothing. Not one. They would have sold more of that And Vogue used to be something during Diana Vreeland's tenure. Freedom, by the way, joins us. That's a damn good name. Says AOC needs to go back to bartending. Her latest insanity to override the impunity of Trump and file an impeachment against the justices of the Supreme Court. Let me tell you something, AOC. Excuse me, pardon me, Freedom. She was known as Sandy. Mrs. L remembers her when she was the hostess at, what was it, University Union Square Coffee Shop. Yep, Sandy. Yeah. She was a hostess. She wasn't a bartender. Well, she might have been a bartender somewhere else, but not there. She was just a hostess. She can do that. They do. You know what happens with these? Listen, impeachment, articles of impeachment mean nothing because you're not going to get a conviction. You're not going to get a conviction in the House. And if you don't get a conviction in the Senate, if you don't get a conviction in the Senate, what's the point? But Freedom, remember, relax. Spend your time. File some more. Go ahead. Impeach this. I got your articles right here. Go ahead. File them. File them. Whatever you want. Whatever makes you happy. Because you're losing. You're losing. Not one time did anyone think about asking Melania Trump. Not one time. Think of what that would have looked like. Arguably, can you think of anybody who was literally magazine cover ready 24 hours a day? 24 hours a day. Not 24 hours, but I mean, nothing but every picture, every hair and makeup and the shoes, every picture. You could just show up and start taking pictures. You could just show up. She doesn't wear those stupid. Listen, I'm no Mr. Blackwell, but you see that stupid stuff that Joe would vote and all that. What is this? It looks like, I mean, it reminds me, but in a weird way, of that Carol Burnett thing. You know, you remember the curtains with the Bob Mackie takeoff? I mean, what is this? She's just, it's strange. Very strange. They hate Melania so much. They hate her. And she'll be back. She may not be in the White House, but who can blame her? Jill Biden. And let me tell you something. Would you please stop saying that Jill Biden is in charge? She's not in charge of anything. She's not in charge of anything. If anything, she's in charge of being the defendant in elder abuse. She's in charge of nothing. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how do I make sense out of all of this? I don't know what to, every time, that's all they're talking about. Point number one, they still can't get over the debate. Have you noticed this? Do you have friends of yours who were still talking about this? This was Thursday. Do you have friends of yours who were still talking about this? Friends of yours who were still talking about this? You hear people still discussing this horror show. Do you still see on X and Twitter, whatever you want to call it, or TikTok, I guess maybe, the same repetition of these horrible moments? Not edited, just clips. Anything Biden said. Biden did not have one good moment. Let me say this again. I don't think you realize it. He didn't have one good moment. Edie Crowley says AOC jumping like a monkey in the Bronx last week. When she does that, I'm a Latina because everything. She's from Westchester. It's the corniest. What are you talking about? Oh my God. Zachary Clark, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Clark says, it seems that all the Democrats have left now is sentencing Trump to jail or house arrest. Do you think that will guarantee Trump's epic victory? He's not going to be, he is not going to do one moment in anything involving jail. He's not. By the time they get to anything involving the feds, he'll be, I don't even know how old he'll be. As far as the New York case, what I think, Zach, what I'm hearing from people, what the inside skinny is, he probably will be sentenced to 30 days suspended on the contempt, or 30 days for the entire sentence suspended, with 10 days to be served as follows. Not in a jail, not in Rikers, but something like he shows up in the morning, he goes to a courtroom, kind of like jury duty, sort of, shows up, and then Kathy Hochul will commute it or whatever it is. They will give him some theoretical, non-actual sense of something. He's not going to spend any time doing anything. And if he did, they'll canonize him. Charlie Calais said, your opinion on Sotomayor dissent. I don't read dissents. Dissents are for losers. Who cares? That used to be a line in law school. You can dissent all the way. Dissent means you lost. Who cares? Remember that line, though. But by the way, Charlie, thinking of a good line, did you see what Clarence Thomas said about Jack Smith? He gave that Justice Cannon there a little heads up there. He was talking about this notion, this Eileen Cannon. He was referring, how do we say this? He was signaling that Jack Smith's troubles in the Trump prosecution could worsen. Did you see this one? He suggested that there may be some problems later on, that he made a reference to the January 6th prosecution and alluded to the fact that there may be a problem with that prosecutor when his ability to qualify or to substantiate or to have validated his special counsel status may be called into question, signaling to Eileen Cannon, this is the way you want to go. You've got my tacit approval. This is kind of where I'm going to be. I mean, he can't pick up the phone and call her and say, listen, you might want to do this. But this signals to everybody where we're going. Freedom says that freaking view, which I do not watch, needs to go off the air. Deep hating liberal women who hate the best president in my lifetime, Lionel. Freedom, that's just some people talking. Freedom, you have no idea how much I love that show. I love that show because they always remind me how they're going crazy. It hurts them. It is the show no one respects. It's not about respecting. You know, I was looking through my hat collection, and did you see this one here? You see this? President Trump, I'll be back. See, this kills him. You have no idea the stuff I've got. They can't believe this. It makes them. My dream is somebody, please let me on that show. Please. Remember how they walked off when Bill O'Reilly was on? They're such thin skin with that Harridan, that Termagant, that shrew, that virago, Joy Behar, who is just, as we say in West Tampa, pesado. She's just bitter. And you got that poor dingbat with a hospital mop on her head. She doesn't know what the hell she is one of the stupidest people. The only time she gets any kind of credit. Remember when she was breaking wind on set? Remember that one? Remember that? This is the only thing she's ever done. The only thing she's contributed is flatus. She's an idiot. She's a jadrule. She's a moron, a simpleton, a Boeotian, a dimwit, a dullard, a soap dish, an absolute empty vessel, an insipid, vapid, void, vacant, vacuous nothing. And Joy, you have no idea. My dream, and I know just what to do. I'd love this slip on that show. At some kind of, not even, just say, hi, how are you? And then somehow, I don't know why. And then lean over and kind of make her jump a little bit because you lean over and look at her and say, look at me. You must be going crazy now. Because guess who's back? 4 more years. You never laid a hand on him. You miserable, spiteful, angry cur, you harpy. Yeah. Your face is like a purgative. If ever I ingest any kind of toxin, and they're out of syrup of ipecac and emetic. If ever they don't, they bring out the emesis basin, and they're trying to get me to upchuck and get rid of the poison I've ingested. Just show me a picture of you in that face, and I'll spew like Vesuvius, you horrible waste of flesh, you just nullity. I despise you. And then I say, thank you very much. We'll cut to break. And Joy will be, they'll have to bring her back and probably resuscitate her, and I will be the hero of the world. Charlie Calais says he was giving a hint to Cannon to kick him. Sotomayor in her dissent was accusing the court of making Trump a king. I know. Yeah, I saw that. It's making the media nuts. You might want to read it for a laugh. Oh, I saw that. She said this, the same thing that the others have suggested. I don't. Read the dissent in the Paulsgraf case. The only dissents I ever cared about really were Scalia's, because his dissents sometimes were better than others. Don't let him get you, Charlie. Our good friend, hang on a minute. Our good friend, just a second. Wait a minute. There we go. Judas Goat Barbecue says, remember when Whoopi thought Dr. Jill was a medical doctor? What a stuna. You know what was a great one too? I happened to come across this. You know that, did you ever see Rachel, what was there, Megyn Kelly? Well, there's so many good ones. There's so many idiots. So many idiots. I don't even know where to start, but I don't care. But I just don't. You know what I mean? Nobody knows. Nobody understands this. Nobody. I've been through this. I've been through this. We've been through this. Now, here's the question I've got for you, which is the most important. Listen to me right now. Listen like you've never listened before, dear and glorious friend and lover of liberty. Listen to me. I was thinking about something and I thought, I'm going to ask the family tonight. You, la familia. I'm going to ask you this question. Many of us, I should say, and I can only speak for me. I think I can speak perhaps for you as well, but many of us are here because of this absolute love that we have for President Trump. Am I correct? We're here because of him. He inspires us. He fights these bastards with a zeal and a vim and a vigor and a elan that is just without peer. Who is it going to be after him? Who is it going to be? Who is going to pick up the mantle? Who is going to say, I'm going to pick up the baton and I'm going to continue the fight? You don't have to answer this now, but I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. I really don't. I mean, I don't want to think. We don't have to answer that question right now. But he has lured me in at such a level, I don't know who could even possibly pick up after him. John McGuire couldn't get higher, said, is there another word besides doctor for a non-medical PhD? Well, also, yeah. I mean, lawyers, I'm a Juris Doctor. We never use that term, doctor. She's an EDD and some stupid, did you ever hear about her dissertation with words misspelled about, it was something lame about, let me see, Jill Biden dissertation, how she can possibly do this. Yes. Jill Biden, her doctorate. Listen to this. Jill Biden's doctorate is garbage. This is from National Review, because her dissertation is garbage. This is written by Kyle Smith, National Review, December 16th, 2020. You can tell someone is smarting from an inferiority complex when he insists upon being addressed as doctor on the basis of holding an academic doctorate rather than being a physician. PhD holders who have genuine accomplishments don't make you call them doctor, which is why you never hear about Dr. Paul Krugman or Dr. George Will. None of the professors I knew at Yale, this fellow writes, even the ones who were eminent in their field, insisted on the title. And I think most of them would have scoffed if someone had addressed them as doctor. The only reason you hear Dr. Henry Kissinger is that Kizzy grew up in an entitled-mad airs and graces Germany, where people are awed rather than dismissive, even if you insist on triple serving title, Herr Professor Doctor. Insisting upon being called doctor when you don't heal people is among most holders of doctorates seen as gauche, silly, cringy, ego trip. Consider Dr. Jill Biden, who doesn't even hold a PhD, but rather a lesser EDD, something of a joke in the academic world. President-elect Joe Biden once explained that his wife sought the degree purely for status reasons. She said, I was so sick of the mail coming to Senator and Mrs. Biden. I wanted to get mail addressed to Dr. and Senator Biden. That's the real reason she got her doctorate. This is what Joe Biden said. She's a moron. Read it. Read it. It's sad. It's pathetic. Everything about these people is pathetic and sad. They're absolutely devoid of anything even remotely worthy of note. Pilgrim Media said, I've loved Trump from the first escalator ride. Indeed. Paul Thronkum said, feels like we have another President Wilson situation with Jill Biden, but no one willing to pull the 25th Amendment, nor will there be, unfortunately. It's funny you say that is my title. That's for tomorrow's subject we're going to get into, Edith. Freedom says 81 million votes, Joe, in 2020. You couldn't fill up your backyard with members for barbecue. Trump is coming too. Remove you in November, Joe. Absolutely. Oh, I love this. Oh, I absolutely love this. But let me tell you what else he's done. And this is so important, it's so critical. I don't know about you, but I was now when I say my political ideology, I've never had a political ideology. I've always been case by case. What do you think about this? Okay. What do you think about this? What do you think about this case? Not, what do you think about, capital punishment? But let's talk about this case. Let's talk about this trial. Let's talk about this situation. Let's talk about a particular instance, not a policy. I've never had policies I've wanted to discuss. I was somebody who thought that we were too carceral. There's a part of me that liked the notion of what true restorative justice is, especially for first offenders. If you can avoid sending somebody to jail if it's a nonviolent offense, put them on probation. Recidivism is lower. Probation is extremely effective. But now I'm a maniac. I'm borderlining on fascistic. I'm borderlining on Archie Bunker meets Joe Arpaio meets Buford Pusser. I'm serious. Why? Why is that? Have I changed? No. The world has. The world has. The world has. We have to understand there are situations, my friends, that we must deal with. Border crime, criminals, drugs, child predation, biomedical tyranny, globalism, wars, and we need to understand this thing called America First. Please don't take this the wrong way, all of my Israeli friends or my Ukrainian friends. I don't have time for you. That's your business. Fix it. Did you see where Zelensky bought a $5 million Bugatti? Did you see this? Do you see what's going on here? Are you following this? I can't wait for there to be a change. I want them to crush Biden. And they are so demented. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Remember, I'm telling you this. Be aware of this, my dear friends. Be aware and pay attention. They're going to bring him up for something nominal coming up. I don't know what it's going to be. Some little, wave, or he's going to come out and do something. They're going to have a little bit of a kind of a mini rally, kind of like a mini seizure that he's going through, kind of a mini rally. And he's going to come out, and right before he goes on, they're going to dose him right. Then they're going to hit him with a blast of Adderall and some B12. He's going to come out and say, "Oh, come on." And he's going to sound great. And then they can pull him right off before he plummets. And they'll say, "See how great he was? That's the Joe Biden I want him to see." That's it, because I want Joe Biden. I want him there. We have 127 days. I want Joe Biden. Please, I want Joe Biden. Pilgrim Media says, "I loved and respected Florida Governor Lawton Chiles. Walkin' Lawton. I liked him." And Bob Graham, Claude Kirk, Hayden Burns, Bob Martinez from Tampa. Who else? And DeSantis is a damn good governor. He's got to kind of calm down a little bit. But understand something. They want Joe Biden. They got Joe Biden. Don't give me the 72%. Did you? You've got to see this stuff. Drudge. By the way, is Drudge alive? Did anybody see Drudge? Is he alive? Can we have a welfare check? Is he alive? Look at this shock poll. Listen to this. Majorities of Democrats say Biden is up to the job. Remains on the ticket. Did you hear what I'm saying? Shock poll. 72%. Then they say 70% want him out. Seems Dems rather, they now want early Biden nomination to quash talk of a swap. They want this. Please do this. Gretchen Whitmer says Joe can't win Michigan. Listen to this one. Gretchen Whitmer, her book is going to drop July the 9th amid the Biden replacement rumors, as the book deal gamble seems to have paid off. Remember when I sound like Alan Dershowitz. You notice how Alan Dershowitz's nickname now is "I told you so." I predicted this. Alan Dershowitz predicted everything. I predicted this. You did? Oh, yeah, I did. I did everything. You did? Oh, yeah. You did? When? I did. I predicted that. Of course I predicted, because I'm a genius. I've been a lawyer for 60 years. I'm Harvard. I'm a genius. I've written 90 books. And I'm a genius. I'm the smartest man who has ever walked the face of the earth. I'm a genius. I predicted that. I knew that. Hey, Doctor, Professor Joshua, we're pregnant. I knew that. He's like Nathan Thurm. I knew that. Of course I knew that. What do you? But now let me tell you again. Have your friends talked to you about this? Have your friends talked to you about this? Have you? Have your friends talked to you about this? What do you tell friends of yours? Big Democrats. I don't say anything. What do you think about the debate? You know how debates go. Debates don't mean anything. What? This is what you tell friends of yours who are Biden fans. Throw them off. Well, I thought he answered the questions. And what I do is I tell people, I thought he acted like he has for the past 5 years. This is nothing new. In fact, I've seen him worse. The Adderall may have kicked in a little bit. He's been like this the whole time. Where the hell have you been? So that's the thing. That's the story. And Trump is a genius for not going for the throat. If Trump had gone for the throat and done something to, I don't know what, it would have shifted the attention. They would have looked instead at Trump. They would have wondered why Trump was. They would have done everything in their power to talk about how mean and nasty and contumacious he is, and he's terrible, and he's rude and obstreperous and blah, blah, blah. He just sat back. And you see the way he looked at him? He didn't roll his eyes. When you go back and you watch this and think to yourself, watch Trump, how nice he was. He looked at him like this. He didn't have to say anything. And here's the best part. These people are so stupid. That's right, Faye. Faye Dalton, please hit this like button. I'm sorry. It means a lot. These YouTube folks, they love. There we go. There we go. Sounds like Joe in rehearsal. Joe, hit the deck. How about Joe and Whoopi in one of those little tiny, what are those little mini GTs going, or in a scuba outfit or a spacesuit? Think about it. In any event, please hit the like button. Please. Make sure you're subscribed. Please. I'm sorry. I don't want to do that. I hate these commercials. When you listen to something, you say, hey, if you like it, but you haven't said anything yet. I just want to see how to boil corn. By the way, I've got a video on how to microwave corn in the husk. And it's perfect. In any event. The quiet of the event made the awful awkwardness seem to resonate and echo horribly. Did you notice that? It was the worst thing. Going back, I just catch these moments. It was worse than anything ever imagined. It was so horrible. And I'm going to say, hang in there, Joe. Hang in there, buddy. You can do it. And they want to speed through this. Now, why do you think the Democrats won him in? Why? Now, I've been talking about this Gavin Newsom feller for a long time because I knew this was coming, and we all knew. I knew this since 2017. Yeah, or 2015. During Corn Pop. No, it might have been 2016, 2015. Right around there. I knew that. I knew he was gone. I knew he was gone. But why do you think? Why? Let me tell you. Pilgrim Media, ladies and gentlemen, just gifted 5 Lionel Nation memberships. What a mensch. Grazie mille. Here's the reason why. Now listen to me carefully. The folks who run the show, this iteration of the DNC, the big money folks, the Obama crews, and not that Obama runs it, but Bill Clinton, they carry a lot of weight. Hillary, all of their people, all of their levels. This is the deep state. Same thing with Biden. They wanted Biden in so much because he's one of theirs. Biden has been around for 50 years. The inside Washington folks, oh, feds love him. They love him. Okay? What happens if all of a sudden, here comes Gavin Newsom? It's a new group. He brings in that California mafia group. He brings in the Pelosi's. She's on the outside. Remember in the old days it was Pelosi, Barbara Boxer, Feinstein, but now it's the Jerry Brown set. It's the Newsoms. It's the Pelosi's, the D'Alessandros, the Gettys, the Getty family. This is a whole new crew. This is like Reagan coming in. Reagan was like this. He brought in the kitchen cabinet. They don't want Gavin Newsom because he's going to start afresh. Anew, I should say. And Bill Ackman is saying this crap about, well, it's really Jill Biden. It's not Jill Biden. Jill Biden has no power whatsoever. Nothing. They own them. Jill, if you know what's good for you, you're 72, 73, whatever it is, I'm telling you, you don't mess with these people. Don't even give people the impression that we're making Joe step down. Don't even hint at that. Don't get us mad. You mean nothing to us. And so does your husband. In fact, he's been a royal pain in the ass, him and that brother, and that godforsaken, stupid waste of flesh, Hunter. We never knew what kind of a perv Joe was. Showering with his daughter, diaries, then prosecuting the person who is sealing it, going after it and searching it. My God. Secret Servicemen having money on hand to pay hookers. Do you understand? And now I heard, did you see where Hunter's suing Fox News for... This guy doesn't. I mean, this guy doesn't. They can't stand this. There are people within internecine battles within the Democratic Party of people saying things like, why didn't you tell us this guy was this bad? Why have you been hiding him? You're making us look like idiots. What are you doing? What are you doing? And a lot of folks are saying, what are you doing? Johnny Jackson, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny, welcome aboard there, Tiger. Have some crumb cake. Let me ask you a question. Do you see anything remotely positive about the Biden administration in the least? You can say what you want about Bill Clinton. Balanced budget. He was a political genius. Triangulated perfectly. Welfare reform. He was. I mean, great. Barack Obama. You can say what you want about Barack Obama. He did Obamacare. He didn't do that. That was a love letter to the insurance industry. But he was good. And he didn't do anything really stupid. You know what I mean? George Keene says, do you think DJT, Trump, might help fix immigration by enlisting people like you, me, Edie, Sparky, et al. To be deputized to make ad hoc immigration courts to expedite processing those here after the border is restored? You know what? That's a beautiful idea. I would love to volunteer myself, my friend. Who wouldn't love to do that? I never knew I cared about. Let me explain to you. It's funny you bring that up. I was thinking about that today. Mrs. L and I were chatting. I said, up till now, before Biden, I thought, yeah, borders, yeah. Little background. We're here in New York City, okay? So consequently, I see people like you've never believed walking around. I mean, I see people with I swear to you, name the country: Ethiopian, Ecuadorian, uh just go down, Honduran, name it. Chinese, Korean, North Korea, expats, Japanese, Russian, Croatian. I could take you to Little Italy, Little Bolivia, Little Korea, Little Russia, Little Odessa. We can go to Brighton Beach. So I have been absolutely immersed in people from all over the world. So I like that. So I don't have any problem with immigrants. But all of the people I've mentioned are hardworking people who add tremendous amounts to our culture, the food itself. You cannot believe. Put it this way, there is not a food type you cannot find authentic representations of. Nothing. It doesn't exist. The food trucks that we have here will blow your mind. So let me just start off with that. And I think you agree with me. I know Brad Applin says Biden just spoke. He disagrees with SCOTUS. It's amazing, isn't it? I'm shocked. Shocked, I say. But let me tell you something. While I love these people, there is a very evil, suspect group of folks walking around, and I don't feel good about them, and nobody does either. And we know who they are. You can feel it. You can feel it. How many young girls do we have to hear about who have been savaged and ravaged by these people? Now, you know why they're here, right? I've said this a million times. You know why they're here. You know why they're here. It's not because they give a damn about these people, these happy wanderers. Isn't that these not fellow travelers, but these peripatetic, peregrinating. I erupted just now. Peregrinating, locomoting these world travelers. Now, and they're not all bad, but I've never seen anything like this. They want a permanent Democratic majority. Let me say this again. They want a permanent Democratic majority. That's the only thing these people want. Joe Biden and his ilk couldn't give a hot diggity diddly damn about anybody. They don't like anybody. Nobody. They don't care about anybody but themselves. They're low rent. Low rent. Okay, you got that? You got what I'm saying? But what they want is a permanent Democratic majority. They want to abolish the filibuster. They want DC as a 51st state. They want a complete and total majority. They are absolutely positive. Oh, and they want to pack the Supreme Court. That's the only reason. They don't care. Now, how they do this, if they have them biometrically tagged, so to speak, so they can be found, as opposed to everybody just come on in, have a nice day. Oh, no. Come here. We know where you are. We want you to go over here. Census time. Redistricting. New. Remember, after the COVID collapse, New York lost like 5 congressional seats or something. I mean, this is what they want. They're telling you what they want to do. Aquaman says, do you think Justice Thomas was also speaking to the prosecutor in the New York case that left the DOJ to come to New York to prosecute DJT? You're talking about Mr. Calandro, Mr. Colangelo, excuse me. I think he was saying, giving messages to a lot of people. Let me explain something to you. There are two people. Clarence Thomas is so pissed off. What they did to him, his wife Ginny, from the high-tech lynching, they never cut this guy a break. And he is furious. I just wish Nino was here. George Keane says, you got to say Argentina. You go to say Argentina, overstay, and they will find you. I think we're the only country that doesn't care. Maybe the UK too. Every cell has a cell wall. Interesting. George, I thank you for that. I don't know what it is other than they want a permanent Democratic majority. Now, a couple of things here. Remember the cases. The biggest case is the Chevron case. The biggest case, which completely changed this administrative hellhole that we live in, this post-FDR horrible world of agencies and administrative nightmares. Let me tell you what these people did. Pilgrim, by the way, said, Pilgrim says, imagine E.J. Salinas as Trump's attorney general. You know your stuff. EJ is a great, great, great man. I was proud to serve with him under his administration, and he is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I spoke with EJ fairly recently. He's an absolute mensch, a mensch of mensches. The Chevron case, when you read it, it bores the hell out of you. It's just like, here's what we do. I want to have a thing. Let's say I want to strip you of all of your rights to decide your own biomedical freedom. I want to stick you and your kids and your daughters with drugs and with vaccines and with all kinds of stuff, whether it's Gardasil, HPV, COVID, COVID-2, Omicron, boosters, hepatitis B, C, D, whatever I want, whatever the hell it is. I'm going to come at you. Did you ever get those things? I got those things from CVS. Did you ever this? Oh, George Keane says, speaking of Florida, where did Pam Bondi go? I don't know. I know Pam very well. I don't know. I got to ask around. I thought for sure she was on her way to at least assuming some perch within the Fox News realm. I don't know. I'll look into that though. Do you ever get these things from CVS? Hey, did you get your shingles? Shut up. Hey, did you get your... Shut up. Do you ever get... I'm getting this... They want to give me more damn shingles, more damn... I mean, they say, well, you know, you're getting older. Uh-huh. What about it? Well, you better say... Oh, no, I'm even worse. I'm even worse. I can't bounce back like these kids. Hell, that stuff will kill you. By the way, speaking of CVS, let me tell you something to the numbnuts and the geniuses over there. We walked into our local one, and there's nothing for 4th of July. Nothing. But gay pride, they go nuts. Oh, they go crazy. By the way, that gay pride was the biggest flop anybody's ever seen. So much violence and lunacy. And that's another thing. I can't believe how I'm changing. Because the circumstances have changed. Before Biden, I would have thought, okay, I'm all for Absolutely. I'm 100% for all kinds of gay rights and gay folks. George King says, thanks, Lionel. I thought she'd be in the Trump administration. I don't know that. She might very well be. Remember, she was there along with Dershowitz. I knew that. I predicted that. I knew that. I knew that. Of course I knew that. Of course I predicted it. I predicted everything. I'm a genius during the impeachment thing. This gay rights Pride Day is it went off the rails. There was a time when it was two things which used to be great to see in New York City: gay pride and Halloween. Kind of similar, but it wasn't. I didn't feel it was. Have you noticed that, honey? But gay pride used to be almost like theatrical. It was fun. It was lively. No, old day. And no, I'm saying in the old days. Yeah, gay pride was like fun. It was like it didn't hurt anybody. It was kind of interesting. If you wanted something to see, go ahead and do that. But now it's negative. Washington Square, they had to shut it down. Violence and these weird. Oh, people walking around nude in front of kids. George King says, not that you're a doctor of medicine, but what do you think about the shingles vax? I'm approaching that age and really don't want shingles. Talk to your doctor. Can you think of one disease you want? Let me start off with this. Do you want shingles? Do you want COVID? Do you want MMR, mumps, measles, rubella? Do you want HPV? No. I don't think that's the issue. No, I don't want that. Do you? No. Oh, I want shingles. I want herpes zoster and simplex and oh yeah, I want to get neuropathy. Yeah, I want to get that. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, the question is, well, what are they giving to prevent it? Do you trust anybody? George Keane says, guerrilla or guerrilla warfare? If it's guerrilla warfare, that's just bananas. Love to you, Mrs. L. You are wacky. Pilgrim Media says, I worked with Pam when she was a new lawyer. Wow. Well, how about that? We must probably know each other. She was after me. I was in the 13th state attorney's office. I was both with EJ and then with Bill James afterwards for the 13th Judicial Circuit, Hillsborough County. And that covered the entire area of that. I'm sorry to say this. I only speak this. I have no medical advice. No, nothing. No, whatever. But after what we learned, let me go back to what I was saying about Chevron. In the old days, if I want to introduce something, I go to my CDC, NIH, something or other, or an agency, EPA, blah, blah, blah. And I figure a way to have them write rules up, mandating something. And I cooked the book. Chevron was, I think, an 84 case that said, when you want to appeal or deal with an agency, you go to the agency. You ask them for their interpretation of what the statute means. You basically, it forecloses, I should say, any attempt at going to Congress or courts. And these agencies became, oh my God, they were like these tyrannies, these authoritarian regimes where you had to go to them. And if you wanted to appeal, well, guess what? This case recently threw that out, changed it. Freedom says, Biden just spoke a while ago. He was freaking so mad. See, I knew this. He knows he is done and ready for the old folks' prison. He is a big-time liar. But also, Freedom, he's trying to show you, look how up he is. Because they gave him a blast of juice. They juiced him up. They gave him some Adderall right before he went on. And he's doing great. And it works like a charm. Speed does wonderful stuff to make people feel all the better, all the more sentient, when in fact you know what this is all about. These people still don't get it. And what's interesting is that I feel, and I think you do as well, that I'm living in a parallel universe with people who don't seem to notice anything. You may not have thought this, but I used to think, and I thought for a long time, that Sarah Palin was an idiot. Okay? An idiot. And I laughed at her. I didn't think she knew what the hell she was talking about. She was a Republican. I don't care. When you're up with John McCain, who was ill at the time, and he's just a heartbeat away, I thought, Sarah Palin? She's an idiot. This is when I realized there's something very, very wrong with it. She was on, remember, she was on with Katie Couric. Katie Couric, I said, what newspapers do you read? She couldn't answer the question about what newspapers she reads. Now, let me explain something also, which is the most important. This Supreme Court case was so wonderful. Bradley Alpin says he still walked off the podium funny, not ha ha. Right. Well, he does. And the thing is that President Trump, please just say, Joe, can't wait for the next debate. Keep up the good work. Now, let me tell you what I want to do. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Speaking of Joe, regular Joe says, perhaps I am ignorant since I was not born in this country, but I am a citizen. The Supreme Court did not write a new law today, correct? They simply were asked to interpret a law, and they did. You are absolutely correct. Joe, where are you from? I'm just curious, my brother, and in this. The notion of immunity is something that is almost presumed. It's a construction. Alchemist Biden was speaking before 7 p.m. His bedtime was the time exactly. There were something. Oh, Cuba. No me diga, chico. Oye. Que te pega, chico. Como anda con los pies. Anyway. Oh, sorry. There is a immunity, Joe, is something like, it is a presumed, it is a, how do I say this? It is a court construction. It's understood. There are certain things that are construed by the courts. For example, do you know, you're aware that when the police violate your Fourth Amendment rights and they seize property, which they shouldn't, you know and I know that evidence is seized. You go and you make a motion to suppress, and the motion to suppress, the motion is to have the court suppress that evidence so it cannot be used because it was taken in violation of the Fourth Amendment. That's called the exclusionary rule. That's not in the Constitution. That was a case called Map against Ohio. That was a construction. They construed that. There are many things. Fruits of the poisonous tree, exceptions to the search warrant rule. All of these are court constructions. So a lot of things are not in the Constitution. George Keane said, Sister Sarah, smarter than most gave her credit for. Go back and watch her 3 debates with Arkansas Governor Whipsmart. I hope DJT gives her a role in round 2. Will drive the libs crazy. You and I may part on that one, but you know what? I'll give her a chance. Sure. If it drives them crazy, terrific. Nothing too deep. I want Douglas McGregor as Department of Defense Secretary. I want Mearsheimer as Secretary of State, and Napolitano on the Supreme Court. Freedom says, I didn't care if Palin was not all there. Beautiful VP. Well, if that's all that matters to you, good for you. Dan Quayle was quite the looker as well, right? I thought it was unfair for what they did to her to throw her in. George Keene says, maybe I missed it, but thoughts on immunity ruling? I've been talking about this, especially with Sotomayor's dissenting opinion. I just can't see a president running a death squad. George, I've been talking about this the whole night. That it's understood, that it's natural, that Biden is going to want this. That what Trump did, everything that he did was a part of an extension of his being president. And when they made it sound as though he was doing something that, George, they made it sound like he was out of his mind, trying to subvert and reverse and challenge the validity. Yeah, he was challenging the validity. When somebody appeals a case, they are challenging the validity of things. Yeah. So the immunity, it goes back to this Chutkin or whatever this. She's a Jamaican-born judge, very good from what we hear in the D.C. court. She has to have an evidentiary here. She's got to determine what particular acts were consistent with this immunity parameter. So that's going to take forever. And like I say again, believe me, Biden's going to want this. George says, I try to get to class on time, not always the case. You are excused, my friend. Have a seat. Have some crumb cake. Anything, this immunity, let me go back and tell you again what I said. The big point is they're saying there's no mention of the immunity in the Constitution. But it benefited, well, put it this way, it helped Nixon, and it didn't necessarily help Clinton as far as the Paula Jones case. But they have no problem with there not being any particular specific designation or reference to abortion being allowed. These people are hypocrites. All they care about is that the law or the Constitution somehow is interpreted to benefit them, to make them the beneficiary of something. They don't care about anything. They don't care about anything at all. But here's the thing. They don't really understand what's happening yet regarding Biden. And they don't know what to do. And you've got this hardcore contingent within the Democrats who are saying, he did a great job. Fight on, Joe. Fight on. Meager Brzezinski, she's got nothing to lose. Meager said he's doing, not that she matters, but she said, but if she says it, that means other people are saying it because she hasn't had an original thought in her life. She said, you go, Joe. I think what Joe needs is better advisors and the like. Okay? You got that? Okay. Now, my friends, I mentioned this to you and you have been so terrific, but I want you to do me a great and glorious favor. Mrs. L's YouTube. There is a brand new video she did about dancing with the devil. Now, listen to me. If you want to see Satan, demonic possessions, if you want to see evil incarnate, if you want to see cult horrors, look at what is being used and implemented and targeted towards our children via various social media platforms. She has a brand new video called Dancing with the Devil. Did you see her video on baby farms? You can't write this stuff. Baby farms, it is worse than anything you can imagine. Now, what do the Democrats want to do with our children? Kill them in the womb or ignore them later on? Or destroy their innocence by having these freak show, horrible, divine wannabes coming in there with these fright wigs, scaring the living, you know what, out of kids. Kids don't need this. Kids, let me explain something. By the way, we can't talk about this, but did you hear about the grand jury regarding that certain feller in Florida who met an untimely demise? We knew all about that. We knew all about that. All about it. Little kids are different. Let me explain something to you about something. One time years ago, I saw this. Little kid was watching something on TV. It wasn't that bad, but it was seduction. Again, it wasn't bad. It was somebody in the throes of passion. Some, tempestuous kiss or whatever it was. It was, oh my God, it was, that kind of stuff. And at one point during the course of this, one of the actors, the woman or the man, a woman was like, she was out of breath and panting. And she was obviously in the throes of some type of ecstatic reaction to this. And this little kid who was with us said, "Is she okay? Is she hurt?" And the parent tried to explain, "No, that's ecstasy." What? So we're sitting around and we're trying to think of ways to, and the kid was looking like, "Is she okay?" And I had said, I'll never forget this. I said, "Do you ever get sometimes an itch in your back?" And you go, and you go, "Oh," when you kind of go like that, and you go, "Yeah, it's kind of like that." "Oh, okay." And then she moved on. She just wanted an answer. Now, if that child didn't understand, the throes of passion, how is she going to understand why this 6'5", 300-pound man dressed as a woman is something they can opt into? Because there are no rules when it comes to boys and girls. And when little boys and girls say, boys do this, girls do this, they love love the tattle. Gee, he's wearing a dress. That's for little girls. That's a doll. You can't do that. And that kind of a rather specific demarcation is what helps them navigate life. They're targeting your kids. They're going after your kids with things online, with this garbage and what you were seeing. So anyway, we don't want to ban anything, but we want you to be aware of this. So follow Lynn's Warriors. Do me a favor. You've been very, very nice. Please do this. Gracie says only 40 more to go. You can do it, beautiful people. I'm counting orders for custom interior and rims. Please hit the like button for our Lionel. Aren't you beautiful? Anyway, you have been terrific tonight. And please make sure you hit the subscribe because, like I said, it's Lionel Nation. So George Keene and your clean machine, thank you. Freedom, thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you, Aquaman. Regular Joe, muchísimas gracias. De nalgas. Hasta los huevos. Remember that one? Bradley Opland, thank you. Pilgrim Media. Let me see here. Who do we have here? Always some wonderful things. Pilgrim, yes. Just a minute. Aquaman, yes. Bradley Opland, thank you. John Jackson, thank you. R. Valera, thank you so very much. Oh, here we go. I think I missed you. Excuse me. Why do you think, who do you think will quit first? Karine Jean-Pierre or Jill Joe Biden? The stress on Karine Jean-Pierre to keep up the unrelenting spin must be enormous. I think that, what's his name, Tyler Cherry or somebody they introduced, I think they're going to slip him in. Remember the feller who was walking around dressed as a woman? I think they are as well because they are so demented. Paul Thungham, thank you. John McGuire couldn't get hired. Judas Goat Barbecue, Charlie Calais, Zachary Clark, I think we said Edie Crowley, the lovely and talented. Thank you. You never know. These people, they absolutely live on another planet. They live on another planet and they don't seem to follow any of the rules that we normally have. None. None. Anyway, dear friends, I appreciate you immensely. Thank you for your time, your trouble, your focus. Thank you for this. We will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. I love this. This is I have never felt, I don't know about you, but it's been a while, as invigorated, as focused, as, remember, as motivated. Let me get this right. Trump, I'll be back. 2024. This is our time, my friend. And I am proud to say I am in for the long haul. What about you? All right, dear friends, don't forget one more time, Mrs. L. Follow her right here. Just click that link right there. Have a great and glorious night. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. Until then, remember these final words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.